Namaste. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Facebook Live. My name is Ashley Turner. I'm a yoga meditation teacher for over 20 years and a licensed psychotherapist, and I've been in clinical practice for almost a decade. And we are here today talking about the Yoga Psyche Soul training that I have coming up live in Los Angeles. And I have asked, and I'm so grateful to have Joni Madere with us, who is one of our graduates. She did all 6 modules, the full 300-hour Yoga Lion certified training. And Joni in particular, I love this story so much because she's a yoga teacher, but she's also a health coach. She's worked with executives. She'll tell you a little bit more about her work. But we have a lot of people that end up coming to the course, particularly the live training, and they're really interested in it. A lot of people that are graduates of the Integrative Institute of Nutrition or health coaches or life coaches, and maybe they feel like they want some more psychological tools and really to sharpen their skills in facilitation. So Joni is here to tell us how she's using Yoga Psyche Soul, how it's influenced both her personal life and her professional life. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell everyone a little bit about your work, where you are in the world, and what you do.
I'm currently in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, wintering here this season again. I've spent most of my adult life here, with the exception of being in Venice, which is how I originally met Ashley. And I am a holistic health coach and yoga teacher. I have definitely stepped more into consulting versus one-on-one coaching for a lot of different reasons, which we may or may not touch on here. But as a holistic health coach, I definitely was attracted to Ashley's training because of the Western thought process and the modalities and the therapy. As holistic health coaches, we're given a lot of tools, but we are asked to refer out to a therapist if someone comes in with something a little bit more major, bigger issues and difficulties. But as a holistic health coach with a little bit more knowledge, it's definitely helped me to get behind a lot of the issues people have. Say they just want to lose a little bit of weight. You know, we start with nutrition and exercise, but a lot of times difficulties getting into those components and figuring out what's going on, or it's usually connected to something much bigger, as Ashley wellness.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have, we had Krista in our training as well, and we'll do an interview with her, and she was also an IIN grad. And so many other people, several people in our online program that are IIN grads, and they all say the same thing, which is, people think they're hiring us sort of like yoga. They think they're hiring us to get strong and flexible. A health coach, they think they're hiring us to learn nutrition or lose some weight. But underneath of that, the root, the source of the problem is usually, and I don't use an ultimatum, but usually a psychological or emotional issue that hasn't been addressed. Mm-hmm. So it's really helpful to have a working knowledge of psychology so that you can start to help them unpack some of that.
Absolutely. And it's helped immensely.
And so tell us a little bit about, how you got started, both teaching and then coaching, and now what you're doing.
Oh, wow. I never thought I was going to be a yoga teacher. I'm one of those. And I did my initial training with Yoga Works in Santa Monica. And it was an amazing training front to back for sure. So I feel like I got a firm grasp on asana, smart sequencing, safe sequencing, philosophy, subtle body a little bit, all of the good stuff.
All the things.
Yeah, all the things. And then I just knew that I've always been a competitive athlete, lifelong adventure, outdoor enthusiast, etc. And so I knew that I wanted to move into more of a bigger, all-encompassing style of work as far as my day-to-day. I love teaching, but we all know the battles within yoga teaching, and starting that much later in life. I'm well into my 40s at this point. And so I became a holistic health coach, or a health coach, I should say. But with the yoga trainings, including Ashley's, I was able to round that out. And that's why I say holistic health coaching, because it really does cover all realms of life at this point. And so I am still teaching a couple of yoga classes here in town, and then the health coaching, due to personal circumstances over the last year, I've moved away from one-on-one coaching and more into consultation projects here and there as they come. little bit of a more freelance style program going on with that for the time being.
Yeah, amazing. I'm going to put up Joni's. This is her website right now, so go and check out everything that she's up to, jonimadere.com.
Thank you.
And tell us, what are some of the most useful tools that you got from Yoga Psyche Soul? What are some maybe facilitation skills or exercises that we did that you started to bring into your clinical practice, coaching practice?
I think just having a firmer grasp on the psychotherapy components, the Western weaved with the Eastern, of course, things like agency and good parent messaging and things that obviously aren't covered in your typical yoga training, and that even though I had done some small amounts of therapy on my own, I didn't get that out of those many sessions. And so having some of that information has really, both in my personal life, in my intimate relationship, in my family relationships, and with my clients, it's just opened my eyes. It's both validating for me personally in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And that helps me to have a lot more, empathy and compassion to where my clients are and what they're managing in their lives. Because a lot of times it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot,
Yeah, I mean, I think we often feel like sometimes we can get into the weeds, whether we're a yoga teacher or a health coach, and we're not a therapist, not licensed therapists. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves in a conversation with someone and we're a little bit underwater, like, I don't really know where to go with this. And so, like you said, so some of the things that we dive into, especially in the first couple modules, which then we build off of for the rest of the training, a school of psychotherapy that I work with a lot called integrative body psychotherapy. And what Joni was mentioning is good parent messages, these core positive messages that we want to make sure are really installed in our unconscious. And then agency mantras, which has a lot to do with codependency and how we show up in relationships and how we're looking to appease or fix or manipulate a situation so that we feel safe and we feel like we're getting our needs met, whether that's authentic and empowered or not. So the agency mantras are huge, dealing particularly with codependent tendencies, which is super common, especially if you're dealing with someone that might have a disordered eating or be looking to lose weight and looking at their emotional eating patterns. So I love that you brought up those two in particular.
Yeah.
And how would you say, so you mentioned you had done some psychotherapy before, but coming into Yoga Psyche Soul, the live training, what really shifted for you personally, or what did you take away as personal wins and shifts in your relationships?
Oh, wow. Well, certainly, the entire module on conscious relationships and healthy communication. Communication. That's always so huge. So the synchronicity with what was going on in my personal life at the time, this is a couple years ago now, a couple years ago, I was really blown away by the synchronicity of what was going on in my personal life, my professional life, and signing up for this module. So just having that knowledge come back around was phenomenal and really helped me to gain such a greater understanding of what was going on. And, just able to, as we all try to do within the yoga world, take a step back and really watch with, what's your terminology that you love to use?
Eagle eye perspective.
Yes, thank you.
Perspective, a little bit more, a little wider lens.
Yeah, and dual, watching it from here and from out here. So, I could go on for hours about all of that alone. So,
so communication, you feel like your communication patterns were able to shift in your own personal relationships.
Yeah, absolutely, and really just have a better understanding of what was going on, in various areas, and not feel so lost and confused about how to navigate.
Mm-hmm. And one thing we work a lot in the live training is that those two tracks that Joni was just talking about, of being in the moment, experiencing whatever's happening in your relationship, noticing the patterns or the content, maybe you're getting triggered or emotional or whatever, but then also being able to pull back that second track of seeing from that witness mind and being able to, what are the patterns? That's curious, that's interesting, non-judgmentally. Why am I getting triggered? What was the actual thing? Can I track back to the words or the statement or the incident or, that actually, made me feel triggered or fragmented, and then being able to work it on both ends so that, like you said, you have a lot more capacity, a greater skill set to be able to navigate when you yourself get triggered and fragmented, and being able to help yourself get out of that and not start spinning in that tidal pool, and all of a sudden it's like sucked into the compounds and explodes into a much bigger situation. You're able to sort of nip it in the bud and apply some tools to change the trajectory.
Yeah, and to layer on top of that, I wish I could say I haven't been triggered since then, but that's definitely not true. But also just having the ability to go easier on myself about it and go easier on others about it, as well as, just stepping out of that perfectionism that we've also talked about, which is very common in women, very common in athletes, very common in, a lot of people. So
yeah. So moving, as I say, one of my favorite lines from my teacher, Mona Miller, is moving from judgment to understanding, and really being able to bring understanding to ourselves, to our partners, to our family of origin, to our clients, to our students, and just showing up with that unconditional positive regard in many ways is the most healing attribute that we can bring as people, much less also as professionals.
Yes.
What would you say in terms of the live training, and for someone that sits on the fence and wondering about it, what was something that was a surprise to you in the live training or unexpected?
Well, I mean, one thing that always comes back to me was a certain afternoon with a certain student who was just having a phenomenal breakthrough, and your weaving of East and West and Native, and especially the power of the feminine, and really bringing that person up and out of what they were experiencing. And it was a completely group-oriented experience. I think everyone benefited from that. That was a little bit of a surprise because you slayed it. I mean, it was really beautiful. It's just beautiful to witness and beautiful to be a part of, and really beautiful to see someone really, expand, who's had so much challenge in their life. So that was a surprise.
Yes, I think I know which incident you're talking about, but one thing that's really unique about the Yoga Psyche Soul training it's hard to describe and it's hard to put into words, and it's one of the reasons I like to do these Facebook Lives and have you guys get on and try to put the words, the words to it, is that I definitely think one of my genius zones is facilitating in the room, and especially even more in a group environment. And we, honestly, it's almost like group therapy, where the way that the alchemy of the group and the way that whatever's being brought up and coming through, and then I'm tracking everyone in the moment, and I might feel intuitively that someone over here, something's coming up, and let's see what we can untie there. And all of a sudden they come into the center of the circle, and then it moves into this big ritual for them, and the whole group is locked in, and everybody is, we're in ritual space and we're in sacred space, and everyone is holding the space for that person, and I'm facilitating one-on-one. And in this case, it was really voicing and moving through a lot of trauma, a lot of family of origin trauma for the student that hadn't, I don't know that it had been expressed in that way before, and maybe not, particularly not in a group environment. And so one thing that's so powerful about working live with people is that other students are getting reflections from this student's story. Other people have had similar experiences, and they're having aha moments and realizations as I'm working one-on-one with that person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is the power of all of us working together to create a healing environment where it seems in one way that it's for this one particular person, but it's actually everyone is learning from it. And also I'm modeling the facilitation skills so that hopefully you guys feel more confident and start to go back and weave in ritual and trusting your intuition and mirroring and reframing. And then, you know, in that case, I think we brought in, you know, song and, you know, voice to really shapeshift the energy and create a transformative experience, a real healing when we are able to integrate that. So it is stunning. And there's, you know, my aim is that definitely every single person that comes to the live training has a moment like that where I'm tracking people and drawing them forward at different times over the 6 modules, the 6 weeks, and really calling them to rise up and move through some unprocessed or, you know, unintegrated material at some point in time. So go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying yes. It was an absolute state shift for that person and for the entire room, for the entire afternoon. I mean, it just, you know, you sent it.
Yeah. And that's magic.
Yeah. So that was one for sure. I mean, I could definitely come up with more.
Yoga psychology is that we're working on all the layers of the koshas. It wouldn't have happened without 2 hours of asana and an hour of meditation and sadhana and then prayer and, you know, mantra and all the other information that had been backed up in the family of origin work that we had done and the one-on-one dyads that had, you know, and then it culminates in this experience where on a psychological and a spiritual level, there's a state shift for that person. But it does take, we're addressing it all the way along in all the different layers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a lot of moments like that. And the favorite part, I almost like go into another zone and start to channel almost. It's really interesting for me because I have to go back and like reverse engineer it and be like, what did I do and how do I teach everybody else to do this too? You know?
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great example. I love that one. And so what for you in terms of shifts that you've made, tangible shifts that you've made in your career, like any ways that Yoga Psyche Soul or your own personal work has been able to shift the way you show up in your career?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel, and this can kind of layer on your last question, your focus on the business of yoga. Of course, you've nailed down a lot of issues within the industry and within the health coaching industry as well. But really just putting the microscope on financial well-being and how that is so important. And for me, it's so important as it is for all of us. But really, particularly within our industry and even outside of our industry, holistic health, the financial realm is huge, and it can be a very taboo topic as well, depending on where you're from and your family of origin and all of that good stuff. And so, really, as much as I may have had a lot of the things that we covered in place already, it's just really kind of urged me to step into putting my own microscope on my own situation and, knowing my worth and not accepting working for less, depending on the situation. There's so many, but just really standing my ground within that department, because that's a big one that's really coming to light the last couple of years, especially. So within my own practice and within my own businesses, that's a definitive focus moving forward.
Yeah, the bottom line, the financial bottom line, and raising that bottom line for each and every one of us. And I know I remember working personally with you in the class and like really honing in on what is your signature offering, what is your unique proposition, and how do we really funnel and build a business model that's unique to you, where you live, what the marketplace is where you live, and definitely stepping into charging more and owning your value and your worth.
Definitely. And I live in a somewhat unique place, and so that's definitely, it's something to really consider here in some ways more than other places. But on the whole, no matter where we are, that's just I don't know, just raising the collective is so important to me. That's definitely a passion that's always been there, but that seems to be really coming through big time now.
I love that. Here's our abundance. So those of you that are jumping on, definitely leave any questions that you have. Put them in the comments below, because I will be addressing them, even if it's not right at this moment. I'll be coming back on. And for any of you that would like to know more and you're serious, oops, that's the wrong one actually, let me do this. And you're serious and you're interested in Yoga Psyche Soul for the live training, feel free to book a call with me. This is the correct URL, and I'll put it in the comments right now. And it's case sensitive, by the way. But you're welcome to book a call with me, and if you're serious about the live training, and we'll jump on the phone for 20 minutes and just see, what are your questions, and discover if this is the right fit for you. So this is a 300-hour advanced Yoga Alliance certified training, and you don't have to be a yoga teacher. You don't have to have already done a 200 hours. Some people do a 200 hour simultaneously while they're doing this 300 hour. We always have a couple people that are doing that. Some people do a 200 hour after. This really focuses on the psychology, on the transformative work, reclaiming the mental, emotional health benefits and the roots and tools of yoga psychology. And so jump on a call with me if you're interested. I would love to chat with you. And so for you, Joni, you would say for someone that might be on the fence or wondering about the training, like how would you describe it?
Oh, wow. I think it's an absolute value across the board. I think that there are so many benefits, even if you're not a yoga teacher or a coach. I certainly gained a lot within the personal realm, just as much within the professional realm. So I would absolutely suggest it. I think we're frozen here.
Oh, there we're back. So crazy. Sorry.
It's okay. So I don't know if you heard me, but yes.
So you were saying, even if you're not a yoga teacher or a health coach,
that it absolutely benefited me just as much personally as professionally. There's certainly nothing to lose and everything to gain. It's truly holistic. Actually, again, weaves the Eastern and the Western, and for me, that too has helped me understand others who are really set in merit-based everything, versus Eastern. And just having a greater understanding of both sides, and that in order for us to all really up level, having a good understanding of both the psychology and the philosophy behind both sides, that's the only way I feel like we're all going to really move forward, is to connect the dots and connect to each other, and just continue to move forward as a collective within more of a co-opetition versus competition.
I love that
direction.
And then final question today. So you've taken a lot of other trainings, as you said. You did the Yoga Works 200 hour, and of course you did the IIN program, and I know you've done other,
Yeah, I've also checked into some high performance style trainings where a lot of focus on mindset, a lot of focus on neuroscience. That spoke to me because I do live in a place where there are a lot of athletes, a lot of just a little bit more of an alpha tendency across the board within personalities. And so when you're coaching that style of person, I was just really interested in getting a little bit more information, trying to understand more of the science behind how the brain works, how it works in different people, men versus women. There's so much we don't know, which is part of it there. But yeah, so that's just another training that I've been a part of, which, and it's funny because I think, to their credit, they're opening up the doors to people who would never come into a yoga training. but it's all in the yoga. Like it is it's all in the yoga. A lot of the same things are covered. I mean, it's all there. And
for sure. I love that we have that high performance coaching like aspect to it. How would you say, with all those other trainings, what would you say is different about yoga Psyche Soul?
Oh, well, I mean, I think for sure you have such a firm grasp on the power of the feminine, and weaving that in without it being super woo-woo, as some like to say. You know, it's still such a powerful embodied message within your training, and I can't say I've had that in those other trainings outside of perhaps my 200-hour, which was all women teaching and mostly women in the trainings. But
the priestess work definitely weaves its way in, and that's a really unique sort of underbelly of the whole program, is built on ritual and ritual space and weaving in different tools and having a lot of different tools in your toolbox that you can call on, whether it's using a drum to create a resonant field, or going out into nature and doing a ritual, or having people commune with nature in different ways, calling on different archetypes and transmissions with different gods and goddesses. And that is definitely a huge aspect that's very different. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. And it's not girly, per se, for anyone who's worried about it being too feminine or what have you. It's very powerful.
Hopefully accessible. That's the aim, to make it really practical priestess, accessible tools that you can weave into your clinical practice as well.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Joni. Anything else that you want to share with us?
I think that's it for today. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege.
So grateful. So definitely check out all Joni's work. And again, any of you that have questions, please just pop them in the comments below, and we will be coming back and addressing them. If you're interested, book a 20-minute info call with me and discovery call, and we will really dial in if this feels resonant for you. We have limited the training to 30 spots. It's in Venice, in Los Angeles, California. 2 modules in May, 2 modules in September, 2 modules in November. Really incredible curriculum that's layered. And at this point, we've been doing this for almost 5 years. So it's really nuanced. And I'm super excited to see who this new cohort is for 2019. So I will see you all soon. Thank you so much, Joni.
You're welcome.
And be well, everyone. Namaste.